Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. As it turns out, I may have just been dumb. I was playing around with the telescope earlier, and it looks like I didn't lock down one of the locking knobs. There are four of them. One was kind of loose, so it may have actually caused the telescope to shift because it's fairly back heavy. And the next thing you know, uh, we had streaky stars. So it looks like that's what the problem was. I'm continuing on now up to frame 3. Hopefully, knock on Formica here. That will hold up and we'll get the image set done here. It's one of those things, like I say, that can happen. Uh, I normally check to make sure everything is tightened up. This time, because I was kind of in a rush to get this all done and prepare to do the live broadcast test, I did not. I can't say 100% that's what caused it because this mount does kind of go wonky at times. Uh, but it's certainly uh, some pretty strong circumstantial evidence that that in fact was the problem this time. Anyway, uh, we'll go through. This will be actually my last session for tonight, and we'll see if we come up live here again. Hopefully. All right. Yep, we are live again. There we go. I think. Oh, nope, that's old video. Anyway, hopefully I'm going out live. Uh, let's check that to be sure. Looks like it says I'm live, so I feel alive. If anyone's watching, feel free to send me any questions you might have, and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, just sit back and enjoy the show. We're right now imaging M81 and M82. These are galaxies. M82 is called the Cigar Galaxy, or Bode's Nebula, or Bode's Galaxy. See a secondary galaxy, that's the sort of cigar-shaped one, M82. And you'll see a secondary galaxy just down below there, which is M81. These are Messier objects. And as I said earlier, interesting fact, when Messier discovered these, he thought they were nebula, not galaxies. He wasn't aware that, in fact, what he was looking at was a galaxy, not a nebula. So I've kind of lost live chat here. Oh, no, now we're back, I think. Yep. Cool. Alright, so we're going to finish out this set. 40 images at 60 seconds. That will be it for me for tonight. I will post, as I said before, any upcoming broadcasts. If you hit the little bell there, it'll notify you when that broadcast will be. Weather obviously will be the major contributing factor. Not sure what tomorrow is going to look like. Not great, I believe. But certainly later in the week we're in for rain, and I think the rest of the week is not looking particularly great. Let's have a look at the clear sky clock for my area. Let's see. So, Monday actually doesn't. Yeah, the seeing doesn't look great. We may give it a try. We'll see. Tuesday looks pretty terrible for anything. Wednesday is a 50-50 day. And then sort of it looks like it goes downhill from there. However, with the weather, you never really know what you're going to get. Old friend of mine who was a meteorologist who worked for the Weather Channel came up with this adage. So if you want to know the weather, just look up, because that's kind of what you got. It's definitely a science, but not always correct. As I jokingly say, it's one of the only jobs in the world you can have where you can be consistently wrong and keep your job. In astronomy, obviously, we live and die by the weather and by the conditions in the atmosphere. If you see twinkling stars, that's because of disturbance in the upper atmosphere, and not a good night for imaging. There is an app out there and a website actually called the Clear Sky Clock, which can send you information for your area on what the skies are going to be like. There's some other apps out there as well. It updates itself, I think, 2, maybe 3 times a day. And if you're wanting to get an idea of what the weather's going to be like, whether it's worth taking your gear out and setting it up or not, it's a good guide. Although I will tell you, I have had nights where the Clear Sky Clock told me that the weather is going to be absolutely awful, and I walk out at 7, 8 o'clock at night, and the weather's great. The skies are clear. Other times it can work the opposite way. So if you don't have a permanent observatory, fortunate as I am to have one, it does get a little frustrating if you set up and you're all ready to go when it gets dark, and all of a sudden the clouds roll in or the seeing goes bad. In the summertime, certainly in southern Ontario, we can get some pretty fierce lightning storms. Not a time you ever want to be out anywhere, even in a observatory, with a big metal object pointed at the sky. So always keep safety in mind. If you're going out outside of your home area to a dark site or something like that, always make sure you have good warm clothing. Even in the summertime, it can cool down if you're going to be outside a lot, so make sure you're dressed for the occasion. I actually have 3 telescopes. 2 of them are actually designed to go mobile, portable, to different sky locations. dark sky locations, and I hopefully will be able to do that this summer. Last summer, that whole idea was totally obliterated by COVID as we all went into lockdown, so didn't really get to go anywhere. Hopefully this year will be better for all of us. So even if you're not watching live tonight, hopefully you'll see this video and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. There we go. Don't see anybody in the chat. So, in all likelihood, if you come across this video, it'll be at a later time and date, which is great. I'd love to have people tune into the channel and get to experience the great night sky as I do. And with any luck, we'll get lots of great nights through the spring and the summer, as I said earlier. And but you never know. It's always a bit of a roll of the dice with the weather, especially if you're traveling and you go to a dark sky site and you get everything planned out and you're all camped out and ready to go at a star party or something, and then you get 3 days of clouds. It happens, and not infrequently, unfortunately. So don't get frustrated. Just know that you will get those nights that are fantastic, and you're going to walk away feeling great, having done either visual observing or getting into astrophotography. We actually had some great things happen there over the winter. Mars on its closest approach. Lots of people got out there and imaged Mars, and you can actually, with a decent, even a smaller telescope, get some detail on the surface of Mars. I've taken some shots in the past and was able to see a little bit of the poles and some of the plains areas, that type of thing. Jupiter, another decent target for small telescope. Saturn, fantastic target. You know, if you have kids and you're interested in astronomy, get your kids out there and show them the night sky. Even in urban areas, there's things that you can see. But as I said earlier, when you're starting out, don't have expectations that you're going to see the types of things, even what you're seeing now on the screen here. The galaxies, for the most part, some of them, they're going to look like smudges, gray smudges, but those gray smudges are actually really cool to look at. And then if you take the plunge into astrophotography, like I said earlier, you don't really need to start out with massively expensive equipment. You can get adapters for your phone that you can put to the eyepiece of the telescope, take great shots of the moon and, you know, some other targets, and we'll talk about those in another video sometime and how to do that. When you are going out there and you're looking for a new telescope, do your research in advance. I love my telescope stores, I really do, but keep in mind they are there to sell you a telescope. There are some that are fantastic and won't try to oversell you. Others, not so much. I'm going to throw a shout out to KW Telescopes. They're fantastic. I've dealt with them for a number of years now. They're in Kitchener, and they are very knowledgeable and helpful people. But as with anything else, it's always a question, buyer beware. Start out small and kind of work your way into this to make sure you like it. I mean, at the end of the day, you may say, hey, you know what, I'm tired from work. I have no real time for this, and it's just not for me. So you haven't dumped thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into this hobby and then end up selling it and losing money. Things to keep in mind. So we're at about 17 images of the 40 that we're shooting of M81 and M82. M82 is in the center, M81 is down to your lower right. And it's cut off a little bit because of the interface of the software, but looks like I'll have most of it in the final image after it's processed. My stars actually are not too horrible. There are ways to fix that. Those stars that are, as I said earlier, out of collimation, likely because of the hyperstar. So I hope you find your way to my channel, and there are channels out there other than mine, like I mentioned earlier, that are doing tutorials and all that kind of great stuff. And some of them do live imaging and live broadcasting for the night sky. Not a lot that I found, unfortunately. There are a few. Sean at Visible Dark, Chuck's Astrophotography channel. Occasionally Trevor does some, I believe, or he used to. I think he said he was going to try to do more. He's a real gear junkie. He is really knowledgeable guy, and you should check out his channel as well. And I'm actually pretty pleased with what I'm seeing here tonight. After these are stacked and processed, I will show these images and show you what I got out of it. Some of them will be good. Some I won't be entirely pleased with, but that's the nature of it. As long as you're happy with what you've done, as I said before, that's all that's required in this hobby. So we're about halfway through. That, like I say, will be it for me for tonight. Hopefully I'll get through these next 20 images without any shift on the mount. If I do, that will make my day. And we'll get together again on another day and take a look at some more really fantastic objects in the night sky. Now that I know I for sure have YouTube working, I'll probably do Orion maybe one more time if I get a chance, and do more subs and slightly longer exposures than I was doing tonight. As I said, this was all kind of just a big test to see if I could get the live broadcasting working and to put something up on YouTube. I did broadcast on Facebook earlier, but I'm not sure it worked. I'm able to see my broadcast here on YouTube. I did not see it on Facebook Live. So that's something I'm going to have to work on. Ideally, I'd like to put it out to both platforms. And I know people do that, and I know there's a way to do it. But clearly, I missed something, I think. Unless the live Facebook pops up later sometime tonight or tomorrow, I'll have a look and see and do a little more research. The YouTube platform is fantastic, though. It does allow me to post stuff directly to my channel. And we're coming up to 22 images. It's going well. My stars have not moved. My polar alignment looks pretty good. It's not 100% for sure, but certainly for I think probably up to 120 seconds. Not bad. I think I'd be pushing my luck at 180 or more, because my elevation, as I mentioned on Facebook, Celestron in their wisdom, the mount is preset up to 42 degrees north latitude, and I live at 43 degrees, but that 1 degree can make a difference, to be sure, in your polar alignment and tracking. So keep that in mind if you're going to do astro imaging. Polar alignment is absolutely critical. Not so much for visual, but if you're getting into astrophotography, you've got to learn to do polar alignment. There are software and tools out there. Polemaster is one of them. There's also some apps out there that will help you to do your polar alignment. Talk about those in another video later on. But for the most part, it's a learning thing. There are times, like here where I am right now, the only reason I was able to do this software, use the software I have here through the ASI Air polar alignment to get it correct or close, is because it's winter time, moving into fall, and there are no leaves on the two big trees, which I can kind of show you here using Starry Night. So this is my backyard. It's changed a lot, by the way, since I took this picture. This tree is no longer here. This tree is no longer here. That shed is gone. As a matter of fact, all the grass is gone, much to the chagrin of my wife. For the most part, her garden is now back here and along the side. But these trees have grown exponentially over the years. They used to come to about here when I moved here. Now they're somewhere up here, and there's a secondary tree that grew up too, which is here. So to get a polar alignment, which, if I can zoom in here a bit, yeah. So this is Polaris, and this is where you have to be pointed to get a polar alignment. You have to be pretty accurate, especially, as I said, for astrophotography and for the go-to. I can't really see through those trees anytime but the winter and late fall and early spring. As soon as the leaves come out, I have no more opportunity to get polar line. Now I'm fortunate in so much as my telescope is mounted on a pier inside the observatory, so it's not as big a problem for me. I can kind of permanently set up the polar alignment. I will try to fix the slight elevation latitude issue, and I'll probably have a good polar alignment, and it'll stay there because this telescope doesn't move. It's a different story if you have to bring your setup out every night, put everything together, and try to get a polar alignment excuse me, that way. That can be a problem. So if you have obstructions, there are ways around it. There's some software that will help you get a rough polar alignment. There's also something called drift alignment, which there are lots of tutorial videos on how to do. I've never really mastered drift alignment very well. My whole goal of having a permanent fixed observatory, or part of my goal, was to not have to go out and spend time polar aligning every night. And only this year, for the first time, with this software that I'm using through the ASI Air, have I been able to get a really close polar alignment. And I can get even closer once I'm able to get that elevation issue straightened out a bit. And I'm looking for a quick and dirty fix for that. But if not, there are 2 plates on the mount itself that I'll have to take apart and move down. Take the telescope off the mount. It's a big thing to do, but probably worth it in the end. I'm just being lazy a little bit. But I do have a MacGyver potential fix that may work, so I'm going to try that sometime next week. If it doesn't work, then I'll take it all apart and do it again. Some other objects in the night sky that we're looking at now that I want to image are these guys up here. And these are kind of toward the eastern sky, so I get a lot of light pollution from Toronto. But M101, the pinwheel, the whirlpool, the sunflower, cat's eye is really great as well. I'm definitely going to go after those targets, not tonight, but in the next couple of days, if I get a break in the weather. Another good target, as you can see, coming around later, not right now, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it because it's usually in this direction here, and I have a light pole here, and the way my roll-off roof works, it may be just out of my view. I'm hoping it will be a little higher in the sky somewhere up here, which I should be able to get. Other things that come up soon, the not too distant future, are M46, M47, the famous Eagle Nebula. I've imaged that before, and I look forward to imaging it with better equipment now. Up here, lots of open clusters and globular clusters this time of year as well coming up. M48. These are all Messier objects. And here's what I'm going to go after probably in the next few days as well. The Leo triplet, which is actually several galaxies, as you can see here. So we're going to go after the Leo triplet, always a fantastic target. And as I said earlier, it is galaxy season as we get into summer. Less of some of the other targets you're going to see, nebula like Orion obviously, and some of the others. There are still a few globular clusters like M13, M92. These will be in better position soon. These are fantastic globular clusters to image and to view actually through a telescope. Spindle Galaxy, never really tried that one, but these 3 guys are, in particular these 2, are the targets I really want to go after next, and they're in a pretty good position in the sky now. They're high enough in my eastern sky that I should be able to get some decent images of them. Okay, let's see where we are here. Wow, 31 of 40. So we're trucking through it here. And it is my time anyway, about 10:40. Unfortunately, I have to work tomorrow, so as much as I'd like to actually spend many hours out here tonight, I could stay out here all night if I could, and do imaging all night, but I have to pay for the astronomy toys. Okay, so we're up to 32, so we've got about 8 more images to go for tonight, then we're going to call it an evening. I want to thank you all for viewing this, though nobody knew it was live because I'm new at this. But hopefully more and more people will come and gather and subscribe and help me out that way, so that I can continue this as much as possible for astronomy outreach. And with any luck whatsoever, we'll see you again soon on the channel and live. So we'll just finish it off. I'll let it run to the end of the images. And like I say, even if you have questions later on, next time you're on, certainly feel free to send me a message and I'll answer as best I can. My only frustration tonight was obviously my stupidity in not having that locking knob down, and if that's what caused it, and that I didn't get out on Facebook Live as far as I know. I really am not sure why that didn't work. It said it did, but well, anyway, that's the way the cookie crumbles. We are live on YouTube, and that was my ultimate goal anyway. I might do one quick preview image before I sign off of the Whirlpool Galaxy, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. Up to 34. All in all, I'd say it was a successful night. And as I say, do we want pinwheel? I think we're going to give the Whirlpool a shot. I think it may be visible, even though it's pretty high above where this tree and the neighbor's roof is, probably somewhere around here. I think it's, yeah, so we may actually go with the Whirlpool, which can be pretty spectacular actually. Wide field on the Hyperstar, I'm not sure how big it will be. I have had a really bad image of it years ago, and it looked pretty cool, even the bad image. And that's also part of all this, right? Even sometimes you can be happy with an image that was bad because you at least managed to accomplish a little bit, one step at a time. So this image wasn't that great, but the next time it gets better and better as you go along. So keep that in mind as you're progressing in the hobby. This is a little beehive. All kinds of great things to image this time of year as we move into summer, some warmer weather. Although, as I say, you can see how low Orion is here now. Mars, still visible, but it's moving further away from us now. So it's getting not to be a difficult target for me. I could probably still image it. I don't do a lot of planetary imaging, but I think next year I probably will do more. That's a whole different process. And I do have a camera that's capable of that. Sunflower Galaxy is actually not bad. I've imaged that in the past as well. And I do want to do the cat's eye as well. and there's lots of targets we'll certainly do over the summer. Okay, so 3 more to go. I have not seen any satellites in the image. Well, I haven't seen any satellites when I've been not on Starry Night. I will post these after I process them, and for better or for worse. Sometimes it's for worse. And we'll see how they turn out. So yeah, everything looks good. I have some good round stars, so I think I solved my problem with the hyperstar and the camera cables and power cables. Off to the left, as I said earlier, that's very likely a collimation issue with the hyperstar. And the fact that it's on one side tells me that even more so. Though I'm sure if there are any experts out there, they could come back and tell me I'm wrong. It's culmination on the telescope itself, collimation, and have to collimate the telescope, which is no easy task with the Edge HD. So I am going to slew over after this is done. To the east. We're going to have a look at which way do we want to go here? Whirlpool or pinwheel? They're close together, so let's take a look. We'll take a quick look at M51. We got M51. So I use an iPad. I think I mentioned earlier, with a little accessory that plugs into my mount to initially get to the location, and we're done. So let's do a quick search for M51. For any of you just tuning in, by the way, M51 just means Messier Object 51. And there it is. Do the go to and see if the switching over to preview mode. Initially I'm just going to do a 10-second to see if we're in the neighborhood. As I say, I'm kind of having to use, because my star sense is not completely set up properly, it needs to have some calibration stars done. It doesn't put me exactly on the target. However, the secondary software, the ASI Air using plate solving, does. So let's do a quick preview here. Let's see if we are in a decent position. We will know in just a few seconds. Okay, so we want to go to galaxy. Let's do a search. CA54. My brain is getting soft here tonight. Yeah, Whirlpool M51. Really, Richard? Okay, M51. There we go. So it's actually just rising and gets better much later in the morning. But let's do the go-to. Oops. Cooperate. There we go. So right now it's going to go out, plate solve, tell me whether it's centered or not. It's going to shoot. We'll see how many stars it gets. That could make a big difference in the initial centering process. Solving 176 stars, so that's pretty good. And it's going out to center the first time. Hopefully it will be when it validates it in the frame. Again, 175 stars. Oh, it did not center. So it's going out a second time to look. So it may be just in not a great position. If it doesn't see it by the third time, then it's likely not going to get it. Oh, no, it did center it on the second time. Or so it says. We'll know in a second here. Yeah, awesome. There it is. So just to give you an idea on this one, it's pretty faded. Do a 60-second. Again, that stars being streaky when it takes its initial shot just means the mount was not settled. And you can actually build that into the software. There is a way to do that. You can set the settling time and all that sort of stuff. I have not elected to do that. I probably should. And we're 22 seconds and counting here. And 60 seconds. Wow. So you can see a lot more detail in 60 seconds. You can see the outline of the galaxy, secondary galaxy here. Let's go crazy. Do a 2-minute exposure. So this is going to be a great target. Next clear night, I will probably do this target. Again, it may be a little later in the evening before it's in position to do that. Or that I can do that. Excuse me. So this is the Whirlpool Galaxy. And you can see why it's called the Whirlpool. It kind of looks spinny. It's a face-on galaxy, which is really great. Get to see a lot more detail. And we would get a lot more colors. Now I see something interesting in here, and I will have to check it out. Sometimes if you're looking at a galaxy, you're imaging it, you may see what's called a supernova, which would be really cool. Years ago I was imaging M82, and the supernova that occurred in M82 happened literally the 2 days that I had clouds. So there was a student in England, a science student, who actually discovered that supernova. Missed it by that much. That happens sometimes. So sometimes you look at these, it could be just a background star, but it is, or it could be a supernova that's known already. But definitely something to check. Lots of amateur photographers, astrophotographers discover supernovae and other interesting aspects of astronomy. Things in objects, comets, asteroids. Oops, and I've gone wacko again. So I think it is the mount. It's getting into that time. Gonna try one more image, but I think, yeah, this is typically the mount doing it when you get these short streaks as opposed to a loose knob. You see that doubling. Something I definitely have to look into with this mount. Either getting it repaired, fixed, or replaced at some point. That's not going to happen anytime soon. Mounts can be extremely expensive. I mean, this mount, you know, I've had it since 2012, so I really can't complain, and I've kind of brutalized it as I was learning. Didn't have it properly balanced, made it struggle, so could be the belts are a little bit loose. Could be the belts need to be replaced completely. And if there's anyone out there who is local that works on telescopes, let me know. I'd rather get it fixed so that it's better, not doing this so often, than try to replace it with another mount right now. Which would probably, for this particular telescope, run me somewhere in the $4,000 range. So we'll see, we got about 10 seconds left here. If it's still off, that will be it for me for tonight. And I have a feeling it will be. We'll know in a second here. No, it's straightened out. So, one of those weird anomalies. So you can see, zoom in a little bit here, the details starting to come out in the galaxy. Obviously, multiple stacked images. Let's push my luck here at 180 seconds. This will literally be the last one of the night for me. However, I am going to sign off now because I have to kind of close up the observatory and get things ready to go. Even with a permanent observatory like I have, there are some things that you want to bring inside. I like to bring my cameras in and a few other things that I don't leave out in the observatory simply because of the damp and the cold. So thank you for tuning in. I know there was nobody here live tonight, but hopefully that will change, and hopefully you will come across my videos on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. We will be doing this again real soon, and I look forward to answering your questions and chatting with you and talking about something that I love doing. So you have a great night, great week, and everybody stay safe.